Imagine this, a simple nightly ritual, something most men overlook, quietly reshaping energy, confidence, and intimacy from the inside out, not with shortcuts or myths, but with small, consistent care that speaks directly to the body's natural rhythms. Tonight we are going to talk about something that sounds ordinary at first, but holds a surprising depth when you understand what the human body actually responds to during rest, recovery, and hormonal balance. The nighttime oil routine we are about to explore is not about magic solutions or exaggerated promises, but about how targeted self-care, warmth, circulation, and relaxation techniques can support overall male wellness, including stamina, stress reduction, and confidence in intimate relationships. Most men think performance is only about the moment itself, but in reality, the body builds performance quietly during the hours when you are asleep, when stress hormones drop, when repair systems activate, and when circulation patterns reset. The truth is, if the body is tense, overworked, or under-recovered, it carries that burden into every aspect of life, including intimacy, and that is where simple nightly rituals can make a meaningful difference over time. Now, when we say oil routine, we are not talking about anything extreme or complicated, but rather the ancient and modern understanding that gentle massage using natural oils can influence blood flow, relaxation response, and nervous system regulation. For centuries, different cultures have used oil-based body care not only for skin health but also for restoring balance, reducing fatigue, and improving overall vitality. When applied correctly in a calm nighttime environment, oils combined with light massage techniques can help signal the body that it is safe to relax, lowering cortisol levels and allowing deeper rest cycles. And deeper rest is where real transformation happens, because sleep quality is directly tied to testosterone regulation, mood stability, and energy levels the next day. Many men underestimate how strongly stress impacts performance, not just mentally but physically, tightening muscles, restricting circulation, and disrupting natural hormonal rhythms. A nighttime routine, built around oil application and mindful touch, can help reverse that pattern gradually by encouraging the parasympathetic nervous system to take over, the part of the body responsible for rest, digestion, and recovery. This is where the science and the experience begin to meet, because while it may feel simple on the surface, the act of slowing down and engaging in intentional self-care changes internal chemistry in measurable ways. Imagine ending your day not with screens or stress, but with a few quiet minutes dedicated to your own body, gently warming oil between your hands and applying it in slow, controlled movements that encourage circulation and release tension built up from hours of sitting, working, or worrying. Over time, this kind of practice can support better blood flow, especially in areas affected by prolonged inactivity or stress, which indirectly supports performance-related confidence. But beyond the physical, there is also a psychological shift that begins to take place, because when a man begins to take responsibility for his own recovery and wellness, he starts to feel more grounded in himself, less reactive, and more present in intimate situations. That presence is often what people describe as true confidence, not forced or performative, but calm and steady. The oils themselves, often natural carriers like coconut, almond, or other plant-based oils, are less important than the consistency of the routine and the intention behind it. The skin responds to touch, warmth, and rhythm, and the nervous system responds to predictability and safety. When these elements come together, the body begins to associate nighttime with recovery rather than distraction or overstimulation. And in a world where overstimulation is constant, that shift alone can be powerful. As we go deeper into this topic, it becomes clear that performance is not isolated to one moment or one function, but is the result of many small daily choices that either support or drain the body's natural systems. The nighttime oil routine is simply one of those supportive habits, designed to restore balance rather than force change. It is about teaching the body to unwind, to release tension stored in muscles and nerves, and to prepare itself for deeper rest that naturally supports hormonal balance. Many men report that when they improve sleep quality and reduce stress through consistent evening rituals, they notice changes not only in energy but also in confidence, emotional stability, and connection with their partner. This is not coincidence, because the nervous system does not separate physical wellness from emotional experience. It integrates everything. When the body feels safe and relaxed, the mind follows, and when the mind is calm, intimacy becomes less about pressure and more about connection. The routine we are discussing is not a quick fix, but a gradual recalibration of how the body transitions from day to night. It encourages awareness, presence, and care, which are often missing in modern lifestyles. And as simple as it may sound, this shift from neglect to attention can be one of the most impactful changes a person makes for long-term well-being. In the next part, we will go deeper into how specific techniques within this nighttime oil practice influence circulation, nervous system response, and the subtle psychological changes that contribute to improved performance and intimacy over time. As we move deeper into this idea, it becomes important to understand that the body does not respond to isolated actions. It responds to patterns. A single night of relaxation will not transform anything on its own, but repeated signals of care, warmth, and intentional touch begin to reshape how the nervous system behaves over time. When a man engages in a consistent nighttime oil routine, what he is really doing is training his body to shift out of survival mode and into recovery mode more efficiently. That shift matters because modern life keeps many people stuck in a low-level stress response for most of the day. And when the body never fully exits that state, it starts to affect sleep quality, hormonal balance, and even emotional connection in relationships. The oil routine becomes a bridge between stress and rest, a physical ritual that tells the brain it is safe to slow down. Now let's talk about what actually happens in the body during this kind of practice. When warm oil is applied to the skin, it creates a combination of temperature stimulation and tactile feedback that activates sensory nerves just under the surface. These nerves communicate directly with the brain through the spinal cord, helping to reduce sympathetic nervous system activity, which is responsible for stress responses like tension and alertness. At the same time, gentle massage movements encourage local blood circulation, which can help oxygen delivery to tissues and support muscle relaxation. While this is not a medical treatment for any condition, improved circulation and reduced muscular tension can contribute to a general sense of physical ease, which many people associate with better vitality and readiness in intimate contexts. But there is another layer that often gets ignored, and that is the psychological conditioning that happens through repetition. When the brain begins to associate a specific nightly routine with relaxation and comfort, it starts to anticipate rest as soon as the ritual begins. This is similar to how habits form around sleep hygiene, where consistent cues like dim lighting, warm showers, or quiet environments signal the body to prepare for sleep. The oil routine adds another sensory cue: touch, warmth, and intentional self-attention, which deepens that conditioning effect. Over time, this can help reduce mental noise at night, something many men struggle with after long hours of responsibility, work pressure, or emotional suppression. There is also an important connection between stress hormones and intimate performance that needs to be understood clearly. Elevated cortisol, which is the body's primary stress hormone, can interfere with testosterone balance when it remains chronically high. This does not mean that stress automatically destroys performance, but it does mean that long-term unmanaged stress can gradually affect energy levels, motivation, and physical responsiveness. The goal of a nighttime routine like this is not to manipulate hormones directly, but to create conditions where the body can naturally regulate itself. When stress decreases and sleep improves, hormonal systems tend to stabilize on their own. That is why recovery is often more important than stimulation. Another key aspect of this practice is the role of self-awareness. Many men go through their days disconnected from their physical state, only noticing their body when something feels wrong or when fatigue becomes overwhelming. A nighttime oil routine introduces a structured moment of awareness where attention is brought back to the body in a calm and non-judgmental way. This alone can shift how someone relates to themselves. Instead of treating the body like a machine that only needs to perform, it becomes something that is cared for, listened to, and respected. That subtle change in mindset often reflects outwardly in relationships as well, because intimacy is deeply influenced by how comfortable someone is in their own body. It is also worth noting that relaxation itself plays a major role in what people often describe as performance. When the body is tense, blood vessels constrict, breathing becomes shallow, and movement becomes restricted. When the body is relaxed, everything functions more efficiently. So while people often search for external solutions, supplements, techniques, or shortcuts, the foundation remains internal regulation. A calm nervous system is one of the most underrated factors in overall vitality. The oil routine simply supports that state by engaging multiple senses at once in a controlled and repetitive way. Over time, men who adopt this kind of nightly habit often report not just physical changes but emotional ones as well. They may feel less reactive during the day, more stable in their moods, and more connected in relationships. This happens because the nervous system is no longer constantly operating in high alert mode. Instead, it learns to cycle more naturally between activation and rest. That flexibility is essential for both mental health and intimacy, because real connection requires presence, and presence is difficult when the mind is overloaded or exhausted. As we continue into the final part, we will explore how this routine ties into long-term relationship quality, confidence, and the deeper psychological impact of consistent self-care practices, and how these small nightly actions can quietly reshape not just performance, but the way a man experiences closeness, trust, and emotional balance in his life. Continuing from where we left off, it becomes even more important to understand that what we are really talking about is not just a nighttime habit, but a long-term recalibration of how a man relates to his own body, his stress, and his intimacy. When this kind of oil-based relaxation routine becomes consistent, the effects are rarely dramatic overnight, but they are deeply cumulative. Over weeks and months, the nervous system starts to recognize a pattern of safety at night, and that sense of safety begins to spill over into daytime confidence, emotional regulation, and even how a man shows up in close relationships. One of the most overlooked aspects of intimacy is emotional presence. Many people assume performance is purely physical, but in reality, emotional grounding plays a major role in how connected, responsive, and confident a person feels. When a man is constantly tense, overstimulated, or mentally fatigued, his attention is fragmented. He may be physically present but mentally elsewhere, and that disconnect often affects how intimacy is experienced by both partners. A nighttime oil routine, when done mindfully, slowly trains the body to slow down, and that slowing down is not just physical, it is psychological. It creates space between thoughts, reduces internal pressure, and allows the mind to settle instead of constantly reacting. There is also a deeper biological rhythm at play that many people ignore. The body operates on circadian cycles, meaning hormone release, energy levels, and recovery functions are all tied to day-night patterns. When evenings are chaotic, filled with screens, stress, or stimulation, the body struggles to fully transition into recovery mode. This is where intentional routines become powerful. By introducing a repeated calming ritual before sleep, the body begins to anticipate rest earlier in the night cycle, which can improve sleep onset and depth. Deeper sleep is strongly associated with better physical recovery, improved mood stability, and more balanced energy regulation the next day. Another important layer is self-perception. How a man feels about himself internally often influences how he behaves externally. When someone invests time in caring for their body in a quiet, intentional way, it reinforces a subconscious message that they are worth care and attention. This is not about ego or appearance, but about internal dialogue. Over time, that internal shift can reduce self-doubt and increase calm confidence, especially in intimate situations where pressure and expectation often interfere with natural response. Confidence in this sense is not loud or forced. It is steady and unshaken because it is rooted in self-regulation. It is also worth addressing something very practical. Many men carry physical tension without realizing it, especially in the lower back, hips, and legs, often due to long hours of sitting or stress-related muscle tightness. Gentle oil massage techniques in a nighttime routine can help relax these areas, which indirectly supports overall comfort and mobility. When the body is less tense, breathing naturally deepens, and deeper breathing further signals the nervous system to relax. This creates a feedback loop where relaxation supports more relaxation, gradually shifting the body into a more balanced state over time. But perhaps the most powerful outcome of this kind of routine is not physical at all. It is relational. When a person becomes more regulated internally, they tend to become more patient, more attentive, and less reactive with their partner. Intimacy is not only about physical interaction, but about emotional safety between two people. When one partner is calmer and more grounded, it often helps create a more stable emotional environment in the relationship. That stability allows connection to deepen naturally, without pressure or performance anxiety. It is also important to be realistic here. No routine, oil, or practice will replace communication, emotional understanding, or relationship effort. What this practice does is support the foundation. It improves rest, reduces stress load, and encourages the body to function in a more balanced way. From that foundation, everything else becomes easier, including intimacy, confidence, and emotional closeness. But it is still one piece of a larger picture, not a complete solution on its own. In the end, the nighttime oil routine is best understood as a form of self-respect expressed through action. It is a way of telling your body that recovery matters, that stress is not meant to be carried endlessly, and that rest is not optional but essential. Over time, those messages reshape how the body behaves, how the mind responds to stress, and how a man experiences himself in both solitude and intimacy. The real transformation is not just in performance, but in presence, the ability to be fully in your body, fully in your moment, and fully connected without distraction or tension. When all of this comes together, what starts as a simple nighttime habit becomes something deeper. A grounding ritual that supports physical vitality, emotional stability, and relational confidence. And in that sense, the true value of this practice is not in what it promises, but in what it consistently builds over time. A calmer nervous system, a more connected mind, and a more confident way of living and relating. This brings us to the conclusion, where everything ties together into a final understanding of how small nightly actions can quietly reshape the way a man experiences energy, intimacy, and emotional balance in his life.